Let's bring in our panel now. Justin Abreu attends the University of Delaware, studying public policy and political science. And Grace Miller, who is a University of Mississippi graduate who paid off her student loans. Both are student loan borrowers and have really different takes. And it's really fun to have both of you here to react to this. This is something you're living through in real time. Grace, to you first. What did you make of this decision?
Hey, Sandra. First, thanks for having me on today. I think this decision did not come as a surprise to me, especially as we've heard some of the more recent rulings with the Supreme Court in the last couple of months. I will say I think it's really important that loan borrowers have accountability for repaying their loans. I think we could do a lot better as a society, as a country, as an educational system to make it easier for people to go to college and cheaper, more affordable. But again, I wasn't surprised by today's ruling.
Very interesting. Justin, if I may ask you, were you in the camp that believed that students should have some help here and that some of their debt should be forgiven?
So, like Grace, I did similarly think that this plan wasn't fully going to move forward. However, I admit that it's not perfect, but I did think that it was a great opportunity for borrowers like myself to receive some assistance on that student loan debt. As someone who graduates in 2024, I'm expecting to enter a very competitive job market looking for an entry-level position. That's ultimately not going to pay me that much where I can live comfortably and pay off my student loans. And so I thought that receiving $20,000 off of the bill would have been a very big assistance, and not having it is certainly disappointing.
Very interesting take on that. Grace, let me get your response to what he's detailing there, Justin. Some students feel like they had to take on this debt just to get into the college that they wanted to get into, but then they feel like they fall behind trying to pay off those debts, and they feel like this would help launch them forward. What do you say to people like Justin?
Yeah, I think it's, a tricky situation. And I think I agree with Justin. I think that, student loans cause people to limit themselves after graduation. So they get a job that they know will pay enough of their bills and their student loans, where they're not really doing what's maybe best for society as a whole, or doing something that's, a passion for them. They're doing it for the money so that they can pay off these student loans. I think giving, some relief would help. Give people the freedom to do what they want for work and not have to make it strictly based off of pay and thinking in terms of how they can pay off these student loans.
And Justin, to Grace's point, though, she knowingly took out student loan debts, as did you, and she feels there should be accountability for that. And there are many in that camp, especially a lot of the parents out there who completed paying off or completely paid for their students' loans or for them to go to college. And they say, what about me? Remember this moment? This was Elizabeth Warren back on the 2020 campaign trail when a father of a college student approached her. Listen.
I just want to ask one question. My daughter's getting out of school. I've saved all my money. She doesn't have any student loans. Am I going to get my money back? Of course not. So you're going to pay for people who didn't save any money, and those of us that did the right thing get screwed.
So, Jason, I don't know if you ever saw that moment, but it really captured many people in this country who said, wait, parents like that saved their entire child's, till they were 18 years old to send them to school, and did so by sacrificing other areas of their life. They pay that off, but then now people who have mounting debt, they're just going to waive it off. So what do you say to dads like that?
Well, I think it's important to acknowledge that under this debt plan, it only would have been capped at $20,000, $10,000 for certain borrowers. So I know that while $20,000 would have certainly been very helpful for myself, my student loans would have been far from completely erased by that aid. I also think that this bill was important as a stepping stone for what to do going forward. I think that this would have set the precedent that the president has the power to alleviate some of these student debt issues, and it would have made it less of a burden on borrowers, lower and higher middle class borrowers going forward. I think that this was just the first stepping stone, And I think that families that were able to save enough so that their children didn't have mounting student loans after college are reaping the benefits of that, in that their children are able to get the jobs that they want to get without being limited by social mobility. Whereas I think that other borrowers, not necessarily myself, but other borrowers who are coming out of college with student loan debt have less social mobility because of the debt that they incur.
All right, let me get Grace's final reaction to that. And also this, to your point about whether or not the president has the power to do this. This is Nancy Pelosi, okay? This is 2021, saying that the president doesn't have the power. Listen.
People think that the president of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress.
So, Grace, in President Biden's campaigning, did he make promises that he just can't fill?
Well, Sandra, I think lots of politicians make promises that ultimately don't come to fruition on both sides of the aisle. I think, he did his best to try to push this through. I think had we gone through the congressional process to push this through, it might have been more successful. It would obviously have been the harder, longer path to get this through, but he did not choose to do that. I think, it's still on the table. It's just a matter of how they get this implemented. So I don't think this is the end of this saga, and I think it's something we'll be, watching for weeks and months and years to come.
I really appreciate the reactions from both of you. Very well done. Still in college and mounting debt, and it's a dilemma, and it's something every family across this country is dealing with or will have to deal with at some point. How do you pay for college? Everybody wants to get their kid there, and we appreciate the discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.